Alright, what up guys? So I have decided to put out a video on my speed build. You can actually see that build in the overall build guide for my crushing hands. But this time I kind of wanted to look at about how much XP per hour that the build could get. So we went through and popped a seething opal, 3 incenses, and a potion for max potential XP, since because of the update that they did, you can those effects apply to the end of dungeons now. So we went through and just speed ran for half an hour and did the math, and we'll see where we're at here. And at the end of the video, we'll go through the build. But yeah. Now this isn't going to be as fast as the evade build. The evade build is unmatched, but you have to get such specific gear for that. And I even tried to make my own version of the build that used the staff that made every third attack, so that you didn't have to worry about all the specific cooldown stuff you needed for evade, and I just personally couldn't get it to work. So yeah, let's get into it here though and look at the numbers. All right, so for this we ran pit tier 106. If you can't kill enemies as quickly as you'd want, you can always go down to 101, but obviously your numbers will be a little lower, but not much. We did 14 runs, and one of them was actually a pain in the butt, but we still managed to get 14 runs done. We had to sell our little gambly coins a couple times, so we had to go spin them real quick because we capped out. And our starting XP was 73 million and some change. We ended with 258 million and some change. And when I put the exact numbers in the calculator, we got 185,658,804 XP. So we multiply that by 2 and we end up with 371,317,608 XP per hour, which isn't the greatest. I would assume with the evade build you'd get closer to 500 million XP per hour. But again, the time you spend doing all that stuff or getting all that gear, and it has to be so specific. If you want to do it, go for it. I would rather just stick with my crushing hands build where I have to change 1 or 2 things. But let's get into the actual build itself now that we ran through the numbers. This is going to be a really quick video because I'm not trying to bullshit you guys. I'm just showing you guys my speed build, giving you the numbers, and you know, you big boys and girls, you can make your own choice. The only thing I'm going to do is, in the title of the video, I'm going to say it's 375 million XP plus an hour, because if I didn't get caught up, it totally would have hit that really easy. That's only one more run in the hour. If you also choose to ignore selling your gambling coins, then you'll also easily hit that. But anyway, let's get into the build. All right, so start off with the equipment here. If you guys have seen my other video, this is not going to be anything new to you. I just wanted to put everything into like official numbers. But if you haven't seen that video, then here we are. In the link, in the Mobalytics link, it'll have a 300, 250 Paragon level, and then a speed run. It says it's labeled as 101, but I've been doing 106 with it since I've upgraded my gear a little bit. But on the helmet, we have Dex, Max Life, Max Resource, Barrier Gen, and then +2 Resilient. You could get away with +2 Resolve stacks. That's perfectly fine. Both of them add an absolute ton of damage to any of the core skill builds. Then, of course, Shroud of False Death with as many points into Max Life as you can get. On the gauntlets, we have Max Life, Attack Speed, Crushing Hands. Having Attack Speed is better than Resource Gen for the speed build, especially. You could probably get away with the Pit Push builds using Resource Gen. But Attack Speed matters most whenever you're doing these builds, because you're just trying to smash and go, right? Interdiction on the pants with Max Life, Armor, Basic Skills. Instead of Basic Skills, you could put, I mean, just take your pick, but I do plus Basic Skills since that'll add ranks to Crushing Hands, and that adds more damage. Lucky Hit, Chance to Immobilize. Oh, I didn't go over that on the gloves. That Overpower Damage and Chance to Freeze. Chance to Freeze is just to CC enemies without having to use like Scourge, so you just take out smaller mobs. And also when you do use Scourge and they're trying to run away, they get frozen and kind of stay in place for you. And that's the same reason that we have Lucky Hit, Chance to Immobilize on pants. That works on the Pit Push build as well. And then plus Max Resolve stacks, obviously. And I think I said Interdiction, but we obviously have Interdiction, and mine is at 14%. Don't know if I'll get to 15% because I don't feel like trying to earn and then spend 80 billion on it, but maybe. boots. We have turbulence on the boots. This differs from the other build because we don't run apprehension. But dex, movement speed, vortex size. This just lets us suck in enemies with soar. Obviously, Rada Kepaleke with as many points into chance for core skills to hit twice, or you can do max resource. Both of those do damage. Chance for core skills, people say is better. I'm still on the edge about it because max resource, you lose like 18 resource, which is like 50 multiplicative damage, and I don't know. Anyway, redirected on the ring, of course, with max life, attack speed, resource cost reduction. Overpowered damage would be better, but this ring, I have it just in case I decide to switch to something that needs Mystic Circle potency. That extra additive damage isn't a huge deal. Ring of the Midnight Sun, obviously with as many points into dex as you can get, and then as close to 50% as you can get. And then Banished Lord's Talisman with preferably triple crit and a max life with a max roll aspect. And then we're going to go over to the skill tree. So as far as the passives go, you can see them on the screen. We're not going to go through all of the passives. The build guide will have that. But because of the Shroud of False Death, everything has a point in it. So I'm like, oh crap, how many points are in this, that, or the other? Build guide will have that. So then up here, it doesn't matter. As many points into Crushing Hand as you can get over to Rampant Crushing Hand. I said I wasn't going to do passives, but I think I have 1 point into follow through. When you're doing the pit push, you move these 2 points into follow through. Obviously Vortex with Enhanced Vortex, these two up here don't matter. This doesn't even really matter that much. You're just trying to suck in enemies. Soar with Replenishing Sword. This is how the build makes enemies vulnerable. And then obviously Ravager with Measured Ravager. That's how you dash around. It's probably the most important part of the speed aspect of things. And then adding the Vigor Generation helps with the ring to give you max resource, so you just smash through stuff with Kepaleke. I'll have 1 point in the Armored Hide up to, this is actually supposed to be here. Anyway, Armored Hide and Reinforced Armored Hide, it really didn't matter. And for the build, I mean, this just adds some damage, or block damage reduction. Doesn't really do anything, but it's better than adding Thorns. You could actually just get rid of it if you wanted to, but I don't recommend it because damage reduction is nice whenever you start pit pushing. As many points in the Perseverance, I will say that this right here matters. Even though I said I wasn't going to do passives, Perseverance really matters because it adds tons of damage reduction, like almost 50% in this build. Counterattack into Reinforced Counterattack, even though it's not on our skill bar because of the ring, it is a passive. And then Counterattack passively increases critical strike damage by 6% for each close enemy up to 30%. Scourge, which lets us do a buttload of damage to like the elites because it fears them, and that immediately crowd controls them. And then this effect where each time you hit an enemy with Scourge, you gain 1% increased damage versus crowd controlled enemies for 6 seconds up to 50%. And then we have it into the Casting Scourge, grant 60% of your maximum vigor, just in case for some reason we didn't generate all of our vigor and we're like 1 point off for some reason. This just like passively grants us 60% of our maximum vigor over 6 seconds with all your resource gen and stuff. Like, you're going to get more than 60%, so this just makes sure we stay topped off. You can't do wrong with this lucky hit. Hitting an enemy affected by Scourge has up to a % chance to life steal. But especially when you're doing the speed build, it doesn't really matter. As many points in Resilient as possible, and then as many points here as possible. And then we have 4 points into Hunter and down to Exalted Hunter. Obviously, this line here, and then Prodigy's Tempo, which is what every build's going to use because you get both effects. And over to the Paragon board. If you're 250, like around 250, just follow the 250 guide mixed with everything else. We have Colossal and the starter board. By the end of it, we'll be grabbing this, but anyway. Then we have Headhunter in Viscous Shield, making sure to grab Viscous Shield because this is the bug. This is like the biggest of the bugs. Then you want to go to the right last. Go left first. Spirit and Revealing, making sure to grab all the attack speed stuff. And then we have Hubris. Hubris does more than Menagerist. You'll get like an extra 6 resource, I do believe. I think it's 6, which adds more damage as well. And then that's in Sapping. Making sure to grab everything here. I think in the 300 build I have this 1 dodge node, but that doesn't really matter that much. Grabbing all this stuff. And when we go to the right, we're on convergence and outmatch. Some people might want to run infighter. I prefer to run this because infighter is too reliant on you dodging attacks and stuff, right? Like, you don't really, especially when you're speedrunning, you don't really dodge too many attacks, you know? Even in pit pushing, you don't dodge a whole lot for it to matter. You get more damage than that node gives you from this max life here. It only has one cluster of max life nodes, whereas this has two, and that extra 8% gives you more damage than 9% that you get from the node, plus whatever this gives you. And then here's some attack speed nodes right here. In my opinion, that's just better. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord server, and I will catch you guys in the next one.